Hi, everybody. My name is Rob. I'm working with TINT for Latin America, and today I'm hosting Tim Psycho. He's CEO, founder of TINT, and we're going to be having a one-on-one chat, some questions for him on how he started TINT about 4 years ago, and how the company has been a success in Silicon Valley. And we're going to open for questions in the end. So, Tim, welcome to Latin America.
Thank you. I was thinking the other day if I could try to speak as much Spanish as possible, but my Spanish is a little bit too rusty now. So there's only a couple words I probably can say, but I'll default to English in this case for today.
No problem. We're going to help you.
Great. No, that's good.
So, Tim,
but yeah, super excited to be here today and share our story and hopefully provide some value to the listeners and audience out there today. And if anybody's thinking about starting a company or moving into the digital marketing space more, I'm excited to sort of share our story today.
Cool. Yeah, most of the people in the audience are entrepreneurs. There are some aspiring young folks trying to create their own startup. And I want to start with a first question. If you could just elaborate a little bit how you started TINT and how did you decide to start TINT?
Yeah.
How did everything start?
So yeah, I think the best way to kind of describe that is sort of understanding the one question my mother asked me when I was about 5 years old, which is, what did I want to aspire to grow up and become? And I gave her two answers. I gave her, the first one was the first Asian American president of the United States, or the second one was a hotel manager. And when she asked me why a hotel manager, I said I wanted to sort of like comfort and pamper her, to have free stays at hotels because she loved traveling. And then she's told me to basically not too much worry about her and focus on like more of the public opportunities to provide value. So that's when I started to explore the political route. Long story short there, realized it wasn't right for me. There was just too many like old legacy rules that prevented me from being able to like solve problems efficiently. So I thought about what the sort of other route would be to be able to still accomplish that goal of solving problems around the world. And naturally, entrepreneurship and the business world came up. And so I decided to study that entrepreneurship in Los Angeles during my college years. And during that class, one of the semester projects was to come up with an idea and take it as far as I could. And that's where TINT was born. It was actually a different product beforehand though, and it evolved into what TINT is today. But that's sort of how this whole journey began, where it was out of a class project when I was in college about 5-6 years ago now, today.
And when was exactly the moment that you knew you were going to create TINT?
Yeah. I remember after the class ended, pretty much the semester finished, I had a question in my mind of basically saying, do I want to keep pursuing this, or do I want to go down maybe more safe and traditional path of looking for a job? And looking at everybody sort of like interviewing and doing all these job applications of jobs that I even kind of heard that they didn't really like to do, but just like kind of did it because that was the safe route and people said that was the right thing to do. I remember at that moment, I was just like, that's not for me. I just know in a few years, I'm probably going to be hating myself. And I have this path or this option to go down this path of trying to build something from nothing without knowing anything. Right. So at that time I was 21 years old, and I had this like aspiration, and like I fully understand I was very naive at that time too, but I think I was really excited about this potential opportunity to solve problems in a way that was more efficient, or just the way I wanted to approach it. And so at that moment when I realized I didn't want to go down the traditional path because everybody was just not happy or just doing what people said, I just knew that wasn't right for me. And that's the moment I decided to what they call take that leap of faith.
And why TINT exactly?
Yeah. With Tint, it was a complete accident. For me, I never grew up a marketer. I never grew up thinking I was going to be a digital marketer or operating in the digital marketing space. I call this whole journey a serendipity, where it was a fortunate accident. I was, like I said, working on another product before what Tint is today. And it just sort of fell in my laps as the product evolved. And I think that's a sort of a big advice for others, which is typically the first idea you come up with isn't going to be the actual idea you end up with building as a company. Just because when you first start, you have this assumption that this problem you're set out to solve is going to be the best problem and you have the best solution for that. But until you actually go to market and talk to customers or prospective customers, you'll quickly realize that maybe, like I would say a good majority of the time, your hypothesis or your assumption is false. And then you recalibrate or you sort of like readjust to make sure that it actually is a problem that others need, and then sort of readjust that solution for them. So all in all, in summary here, like Tint was an accident, but it's been a really fun journey and ride and sort of adventure thus far of how to build a company from really nothing.
Now, you said about the product, all right, it was an accident. But your first product that you shipped was very different, a little bit different,
right?
Market different from what we have nowadays.
That's correct.
How different compared to your most recent product that you have right now?
Yeah, so the main way I sort of describe this this answer would be that the main difference between what Tint is today and the first product is that the first product was trying to sell to consumers, and this product today is repackaged to sell to businesses. That's really the main difference. The core technology was the same, but the way we went to go after the market or launch into the market is just completely different. And so again, back to that first point that I mentioned, the assumption was that consumers would really like our technology and draw value from that. And we quickly realized that it was providing no value. And we can validate that through people not coming back to the application or the website that we built, or even just logging back in or engaging with it. And so what we did was we asked our users at that time, which was some of them were businesses, which part of the platform did they like, or what appealed to them when they first signed up. And they said they liked the core technology of collecting all the content that people are sharing, or they themselves are sharing on their social networks. But instead of putting it on like my website that we built, they said that they wanted to put it on their websites. And so all we did was shift the business model and shift the marketing and shift the positioning of the product to say, you know what, we're going to take that core technology, instead of serving it to consumers or selling it to them, we're going to position it and sell it to brands because they draw a lot more value. And the problems they had, we had the right solution for. So for example, the problem was they needed to update their websites more with dynamic content, whether it's from their own social networks or even what people are sharing about them on social networks. And we had that technology already built. And so all we did was repackage it and sell it to them.
Out of curiosity, why the name Tint?
Yeah.
Why did you choose
the fun story I share about this is that the first product or first company that we started with was called Hypemarks. It's spelled Hypemarks. And everybody, I kid you not, everybody was always saying hypermarks. And so they would always misspell it. And even today, that is still our corporate name, and everybody still misspells it, which gets me frustrated because it's like, it's like someone's misspelling or saying your name wrong every single time. It gets a little frustrating. So when we decided to repackage the product to sell to the businesses, we said, let's change our name. This is our time to change our name because we're starting over. And so we started with basically saying we want it to be easy to spell and easy to say, ideally a 4-letter word. And let's start off with something more abstract because we're going to go B2B, so that the name isn't as crucial as like a B2C sort of like consumer application. So we just said, let's start with hues of color And so we basically came up with the word tint came up. And then we said, can we actually apply this to our product? And it did work out in that, you know how people tint their car windows to basically make it look cooler or more like effective, protecting them from the shades. We basically say we tint your websites or your screens to make it more engaging and dynamic.
Cool.
So that's how it worked out, and it is still today. But I guess one other funny story is that we try to get the domain name tint.com, and obviously it's taken by someone who's just sitting on it. And we tried to engage them, and they basically said they were wanting to sell it for like $500,000. And we're just like, there's no way we can have that money to purchase a domain name. So we purchased the URL tintup.com, which is why if you go to tintup.com, that's our product today, even though our company is called Tint. But then what's funny, because of that, some people call us Tintup. So, you know, it kind of goes full circle where people still misspell the name, but it's much better this time.
Now, talking about finances, you said you didn't have $500,000 to buy a domain.
Yeah.
How much money did you have when you started Tint?
So we raised a total of $370,000 back in 2012. And that was the first and last amount of funding we ever took. So that was the amount we took and raised. So $370,000.
And did you guys went in before that? Did you had any family, friends?
Yeah, so most of it was just out of my savings. And even that was very limited because I was just finishing college. And I remember at one point, my bank account got to around $15. And I was living in New York at that time because I just put a fat deposit on a living space for the summer that I was living there to sort of launch the company at that time. And I remember having to live off of that $15 at the McDonald's dollar menu for a couple days, up to a week, before I can get more money coming in. So those are some good days. But yeah, I mean, for me, like we've never really raised that much money. We've raised 370, but before then it was just everything out of my own pocket, or even just potentially borrowing some money from parents or friends.
Was there any funny stories or any moment that you remember while you fundraising? Any advice you can give to everybody else also?
Yeah, the fundraising aspect. You know, I think the first thing I would share is that there's only two reasons why one entrepreneur would ever fundraise. One is that you found a fire that you want to pour more gasoline onto, or two, you need to make payroll. That's what I was taught from my board member and advisors on the two main reasons why one would ever fundraise. And so at that time, it was more of needing to make payroll and having maybe a little flame, not like a fire, maybe a little flame that we wanted to try to pour some gasoline onto. And so the other advice I would give is when fundraising is that as a maybe first-time entrepreneur and at early stage companies, the two things that investors will probably make a bet on and only make a bet on is your team and your vision. Is the vision exciting enough, big enough? And is your team the right team to execute to achieve that vision? And so that's pretty much it in terms of what an investor will make a bet on that early stage, and especially for a first-time entrepreneur. And then the last advice I would give, and I can share a funny story, is the goal of every meeting for a fundraising event is to get to the next meeting. It's never to try to close within a certain time frame, whatever, because there's a different party on the other side that operates on their own timeline, operates on their own constraints, et cetera, et cetera. So the idea is that every meeting, your goal is to get them that excited to want to book another meeting to talk to you more and learn more. So those are the three advice I would give in terms of fundraising. But one funny story I can quickly recap is when we were trying to fundraise, I was a first-time entrepreneur. I pitched the vision, I pitched the team. Luckily, at that time, the investor that we raised money from had this idea in the back of their mind to try to pursue, but just didn't have the time to pursue. So he was willing to make a bet on me to be able to execute on that vision. And then the other thing was that when I tried to basically get the next meeting, I would try to find ways to like get them excited. And I remember at one time I was like, how can I get them super excited? I can probably get them super excited if I get the press talking about us, if I can get people to talk about us. So what I did was I created fake celebrity profiles, and they knew it was fake. But I created fake celebrity profiles, pulled all their social media content into our consumer website, and then emailed those fake celebrities. And these are celebrities anywhere from like entertainment to like technology influencers. I would email them saying like, hey, I created this for you. What do you think? I would strategically time the email to be around like maybe 7 or 8 p.m. when they're like more relaxed, maybe in front of a TV, not so much focused on other work. They would read the email and then respond to me saying like, hey, this is pretty awesome. And the most notable one was Mark Cuban, owner of the Dallas Mavericks and the star of the show Shark Tank. And I would also like email him saying that I loved Shark Tank and his show to blow to his ego, because everyone likes to hear about themselves and get complimented. And he would respond within like 10 minutes of my email, and then basically say like, this is interesting. I would change this up here and there, give us some feedback. And then the last question I asked after that was, do you mind tweeting this out and sharing this out? And he was like, I didn't hear from him. And then 10 minutes later, I get a call from our CTO basically saying like, what happened to our website? Because it's crashed and it's down. There's an overload of traffic coming in. What happened? And I said, I don't know. And I was like, wait, oh shoot, did he just tweet it out? Because he literally just followed my ask. And he did. And all I did was take a screenshot of that, go to the investor and say, look what we just did. Like, yes, like it didn't produce all the results or generate tons of revenue, but it showed that I was creative enough to figure things out that needed to be figured out, right? It's being super scrappy, and that excited them, and that made them want to take another meeting. And then we kept going, and then finally closed afterwards.
Nice. Now you talk about your CTO. Of course, no company starts just with a product, right, or idea. There's people behind. Can you tell a little bit more how you chose your co-founders and your team?
I had to go through about 7 co-founder or CTOs, chief technical officers, before finding the ones that I am with today. So it's not easy. And sort of the ways I would think about it is like, you spend more time with this individual than your significant other, especially in the early days of the company. So you got to ask yourself, are you willing to be able to like not only marry them, but to like really spend time after you marry them, right? Because there's going to be a lot of discussions, a lot of arguments that you'll have to go through and endure. So, you know, when I first tried, I had to go through 7 people before I found the right ones, right? So it's okay to like find someone and realize it's not the right fit and then cut them off and then find someone else. You know, I would also say that, you know, when people say like 90% of startups fail, I would argue 75% of those startups that fail are because of co-founder issues. So when you do try to find that co-founder, would really spend a lot of time during work and outside of work to see if you can really bond with them, resonate with them, work with them, et cetera, et cetera. For me, I did everything and anything I could to find these people. I don't think there's any job too small, especially when it's that early on. So I would ask friends, I would ask other classmates, I would ask professors, but specifically with this one, with these 2 that I found, one was through his ex-girlfriend that I asked randomly that I met. I was like, do you happen to know anybody who builds web applications or startups? And she mentioned her boyfriend at that time. And then the second one was I shared a job posting out into the listserv of university, and one person came back and talked to me, and then we grew from there. But the ways to find your CTO or partners can vary a ton, and I would say there's no job too small or no like one way to do it. There's so many ways to do it, so sort of stay scrappy as possible.
And how do you do the choosing of like the team of the company.
Yeah,
What's
so
unique about TINT with respect to
sure, for today, especially operating in San Francisco or in Silicon Valley, there's tons of companies, right? And there's tons of companies coming up every day or even every week. So there's definitely a lot of options for any employees to work at. So one thing I really focus on is around the culture. And so culture, I believe, is first, its definition is it's how your employees act and decide without their managers being there, right? So it's almost unwritten rule or law that you sort of resonate around the company. So because I focus a lot on that, and I believe that culture is one of the core things that differentiate you from any other company, that's what I want to sort of exploit on or really take advantage of. So for us, the two words I describe our culture is around transparency and fairness. Those are the two keywords I sort of like really encompass our culture. So for example, like for transparency, sort of everybody has access to look at our bank account or statements if they wanted to, or everybody would be able to look at how much each other is making at the company, or everybody would know exactly what went into a decision that affected the company overall. So everything is very transparent because I believe if we can give everybody the access to information, fewer arguments or fewer miscommunication occur in the future. The second one is around fairness. So that all revolves around like we don't play favorites. That doesn't mean we don't reward people for really good work, but we make sure we have opportunities for everyone to grow in the company and have a fair play for everybody to excel at their jobs here and be compensated properly for that. So yeah, main summary here is that focusing on the culture and really fostering that and making sure that resonates a lot with the people we bring on here is one of the core ways to attract and retain talent today here.
So when you started TINT, I mean, did you have this finance background, capital raising background, marketing, sales? I mean, you knew everything, right?
Zero, absolutely zero. Even when I try to credit the classes I took in college, I can't because I don't really remember anything that I learned there. Maybe just because I'm a learner by doing versus learning by reading. I learned everything that I know today through like falling multiple times, like flat on my face, right? So they don't teach you how to incorporate a company, but I was like, well, I need to incorporate a company. What do? You do some research, you find a firm, you call them, you ask them the right questions, you figure it out, and then you move and you execute, right? Same thing with finance. Like, what needs to be done? I need to know how much I'm making, and I need to know how much I'm spending. Figure it out, right? Because now, in this case, there's an incentive for you to figure it out. It's pretty much if you want an income or not to survive off of, right? So it's not like an A or get a grade in the class. In this case, it's pretty much like your life that you're playing with. So you got to really figure your stuff out. And that's why I believe like trial by fire or just learning by doing is the best way to acquire all these knowledge and skill sets as you embark on the entrepreneurial journey.
So as you're doing them, you try by fire, right? We know that 75% of startups fail. And during that process, sometimes we don't have enough money to survive a year or 2 years.
Yeah.
And a lot of doubts or fears and hesitations and depressions occur during that process. How do you cope with that so you can pass the chasm?
The one thing that really helped me cope with all of that is asking myself, do I want this badly enough? And I asked myself, what is this that I want, right? And what I wanted was the confidence and sort of the like just knowing that I can actually create something from nothing. I wanted to really prove to myself. There was nothing to prove to anybody else or the world or revolutionize an industry or disrupt an industry. It wasn't any of that. It was pure curiosity of seeing if I could actually build something from nothing. And that's what I was just like so obsessed with. Maybe something for someone else will be like, I would say, and I would argue that probably for other people, it's going to be the problem that they want to solve. Is a problem so like near and dear to your heart that you just want to see a solution for the world? Is there a problem that like the society needs that you just know will advance humanity in the right way? That's way different from what I call a wantrepreneur. And a wantrepreneur is someone who wants to be an entrepreneur for the purposes of getting on the cover of Forbes magazine, right? Or having a fat check in the bank account. Like if you wanted to do that, you can go down so many other paths, right? Go into finance, go into banking, go into like all these other industries that make you a lot of money. But that's not, if you rely on that as you embark on the entrepreneurial journey, most likely all the obstacles, like you said, depression, arguments, like just being lost, you're going to want to give up. Because in that case, like you can just go, if you wanted to make more money or be on the magazine cover, there's so many other ways to do that rather than enduring through all these pains and sufferings. But it's only because you can go through these pains and suffering is because you have this problem or itch you really want to solve. And for specifically myself, there was just, maybe the challenge was that I wanted to see if I can keep going and build something from nothing. And that's just pure curiosity and sort of a challenge for me that I wanted to set out to accomplish.
We're running out of time, but I have two more questions for you.
Sure.
How do you see TINT from now on? Where's TINT right now, and where is it going? Yeah. In your opinion.
Yeah. So where TINT is today is that we have a software platform that we sell to about 700 customers today. We've worked with over 5,000 brands. We're at 30 people right now, distributed across the globe in about 3 different countries, and we're doing well. Right, we're hitting around $6 million a year right now, and we want to get to more. But for the future, for what I'm really looking forward to in the product as well as the business side, is on the product side, I really want to be able to show that. So we're operating in what we call the user-generated content marketing space. So what that means is we believe that marketers, to be more effective with their marketing initiatives, need to integrate user-generated content. User-generated content is just people who talk about your product. And we know word of mouth is something that's always been around and something that's most effective. So how can we incorporate that into our product and really help marketers be better marketers through integrating and displaying user-generated content? So that's on the product side. On the business side, I have goals of getting this company to around $10 million. And really the main reason why I want to do that and show that is that I want to show that it's possible for any entrepreneur to be able to raise or not raise any money, or in our case, raise very little money and grow a company profitably and sustainably and show that is very viable and possible while still focusing on and fostering culture in a company. I read a lot and I see all these startup stories where, people just maybe sometimes take the easy way out and just raise a lot of money and fail magnificently. Like, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing at all. I'm just saying I want to show that there's other ways to do this if someone wants to do it this way, which is, look, I have an itch I want to solve. I don't think raising money is right for me because I don't want to give a lot of my company away, or I just don't want to be bothered by other people. I want to do it my way. And I want to be a living testament that it is very viable to do that.
Mm-hmm. And let's say you have to create a new venture or restart TINT. What would you do different?
If I were to create a new venture, the one thing I would probably very much focus on in the future is spending a lot of time finding the right people on the team. And I know everyone always says people make sense. People like find the right people, find the right team and everything like that. And even when you go fundraise, you have to find the right people. But it makes all the difference if you can find a person or a group of people that not only like really enjoy the problem you're looking to solve, but also just like work really well with you. Because once that happens, like magic will happen. And what I mean by that is just that energy, that insane amount of like rowdiness, it'll be translated into something that's going to be so powerful for you to focus on building a great solution to the problem you're solving. So it's really around focusing more time on finding the right people to surround myself with. And I think the problem before that was because I recognized I probably had an ego of saying I can do it myself, or I don't need anybody else's help. I'll just figure it out myself. And that made sense because at that time when I was first-time entrepreneur, no one really believed in me, right? No one really thought that I could do this. So I just really relied on myself. But now, if I can start over with this sort of experience and this background now, I spend a lot of time finding the right people to help build the next product.
Thank you. Tim, I think we're pretty much out of time. I really want to thank you for your time. If you have one last thought you want to just share with everybody in Latin America.
Sure. I think one thing I always like to conclude on is maybe just an advice for other entrepreneurs, especially aspiring first-time entrepreneurs. And it's this advice that I got that also made me very confident to take that leap of faith. Is that one of our investors, I was right out of school and I was getting really scared of like pursuing this full time. And all he said was, look, if you are already this confident or this like brave or courageous enough to take this leap of faith to start your own company and solve problems, like I'd rather you do this now, because there will always be a job waiting for you. And not only will a job be waiting for you, there'll be employers that'll be excited to bring you on because you have the courage to sort of jump and take a leap of faith to solve problems. And all businesses are solving problems. So if you can prove that you're already solving problems in an effective way, or you learn how to do it in an effective way, they'll want you, right? So that I would sort of dawn upon everybody who's listening today. It's like, if you're thinking about something and you're still young, and young is a relative subjective word, but if you're still itching about something today, I'd rather you and recommend you do it now than later. And if you're scared because you won't get a job or anything like that, there will be plenty of jobs and employers looking for people like you who have taken that leap of faith, because that's just so admirable, so courageous, and you'll learn so much more than many people will ever learn in their life. And that's a quality asset for any employer to have on their team.
That's a great advice, by the way.
Thank you. But thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you for sharing these questions, and hopefully it was helpful. I would end on, if anybody has any questions or want to talk more for advice, my direct email is tim@tintup.com, tintup.com. And feel free to, and I'm happy to discuss more.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Take care.